frostblades of Katabasis. This is day 5, or at least update 5. So welcome back, my slandering subs. The name is Wolf, and we'll talk a little bit about the actual build, because many things have changed. The gameplay in the background is a attempted strategy I'm currently testing, which has to do with exiles and making them loot pinatas, and then using ritual to not only having an additional loot pinata, but having those exiles that we have turned into loot pinatas to be resummoned as additional loot pinatas. It's like this double dip strat that was used in the previous league as well. So we're kind of seeing if there is some merit to it. And yes, but also kind of no. But we'll talk more about loot and currency and strategies later. Because let's first address the build. Many updates have occurred. We are finally using a shield and a claw. We finally upgraded from the dagger, the unique dagger, which is dirt cheap. And making the claw wasn't, but I did manage to pull it off. We also made the shield to go with it, which is a rudimentary pre-frenzy craft shield, most likely. I am still in need of fixing some other gear issues, like my chest needs an update. I need to recraft my ring and amulet, but those things all require currency. In the meantime, though, I did update my passive tree with a cluster, as well as a much-needed jewel to give us ailment immunity, which is so good. I can finally deal with the ailments that have ruined my fun, like chill and burning to death because of an ignite. It is absolutely frustrating to finally have done. To be done with that is amazing, which also allows us to switch the Pantheons finally away from the Brine King to like a Lunaris for more defense, which is very, very comfy. So lots of updates have happened since last we spoke. And in terms of things that have happened, I am currently also trying to figure out a currency strat. I'm not sure if I am the only one, but I find it very difficult to enjoy myself at this current state of the game with any kind of known farming strat. I used to always enjoy very much the Val Temple farming strat before it got neutered. As you might have known, if you have watched my videos for a while, I've made a lot of videos on that very topic of the Val farming strat, which has been so very, very good to me. But now that it is gone, I find it very difficult to find something to replace it with. Now, right now, we are indeed using the loot, exile, pinata kind of combo, where we use loot exiles, or at least the exiles, to give them these loot tiles, and then using rituals to resummon them, because that does work if they initially spawned in the ritual influence zone. If they have not, it doesn't. But yeah, it allows you to kind of double dip occasionally in those loot tiles, and I've kind of been experimenting with it. Other people have been suggesting it as well. I think Tuna has been working with it. Milky has been popping off on it. So I've kind of been making my own version and seeing how things worked. But yeah, it works, but it's not quite the same level of dopamine as Val Temple does. So I'm still looking. If you have any suggestions on what could be a fun farming strat that I could do long term without suffering brain rot, I would be very, very much obliged. Maybe it's time to go into tier 17, because we are strong enough now, but I guess time will tell. Until then, though, let's actually go through the character in and of itself, and we'll go from there. So here is my Slayer in his full glory. We're level 94. Experimenting with farming strats has killed us a couple of times, so it's been slow going. But it was prior to the upgrades, and now that we have the upgrades, we should be seeing some good level gainage soon. We're also using Lunaris right now. I still have to upgrade her, but since we obtained the ailment immunity just today, I have finally been able to switch to her away from the Brine King. So that's going to be on my list of to-do things as well. We're still using Aberath because I'm dealing with a lot of burning ground in my strat occasionally, or was. But I am also thinking about maybe switching to Gruthgul to deal with some more fizz mitigation, or otherwise perhaps Tukahama, because Tukahama right here gives us also more fizz mitigation if we stand still, which synergizes really, really nicely with multi-strike in the way to optimize that, right? On top of that, a little bit of regen while you stand still has never killed anyone, which is very, very comfortable. So there's like a lot of personal preference in the minor Pantheons, depending on what kind of content you're doing. But once you have ailment immunity, go to Soul of Lunaris. I think it's the best one. Otherwise, stick with Brine King until you do have that ailment immunity. However, the things we do also have, Imperial Claw. I love this thing. Very proud with how this turned out. As you can see, it's almost perfect in terms of its tiers. It's just a tier 2 crit multi. I'll take it. That is a nice way to settle. I am not going to complain. I still need to enchant it, but I need to find more runes first, and the shipments have been curious, to say the least. I can't get good value out of those shipments. But yes, in terms of gems, we're just using Enduring Cry. Since we're now using a shield, we have some more gem slots open, and I'm not sure what to put in the gem slots yet. I'm thinking enhances or perhaps more durations, or just kind of like buffing what is as opposed to adding something completely new. But maybe that will change. I have some ideas, but I have to test those first. On the Heat Shiver, I'm looking for a Corruption still, but until then, we're just using a regular old Heat Shiver with Enlighten, since we found one of those, which is very comfy. On top of that, we also have the Skitterbots, the Bone Chill, and the Unbound Ailments. This should be Awakened Unbound Ailments, but the crafting has made me broke, so I've been kind of holding off on trying to upgrade my gems to 2120 or their Awakened versions respectfully. So this is going to be a process that's on the list as well, which is going to be very, very comfy once we get to it. It's just going to be really nice against that single target. On top of that, we have Blood Rage, we have Herald of Ice. We are using a Precision. This should be a Precision level 1, but we're just doing that because we want to make sure we have enough mana for once we have the Watcher's Eye, because we are probably going to use a Watcher's Eye with Precision on it, because the Precision Watcher's Eye are really, really powerful for damage. And once we have one of those, we want to make sure that we have Precisions both in the gem slots and can run with it active so we can get the Watcher's Eye benefits, right? So this is just like a preemptive anticipation to make sure that we balance the build correctly. The actual build itself, the 6-link, we have the Crit Strike support still. We are looking forward to maybe turning this into an Awakened Elemental Attack gem for the Reflect immunity as well, which is going to be really, really nice. Allows me to run more maps than I usually can due to the Reflect issue. We still have Multi-Strike. Well, good luck getting an Awakened version of that, so we're probably just going to stick to 2120 on this. Frostblade of Katabasis could use a level. Ice Bite support could use a level. Awakened added cold damage. Like I said, I'm in the process of. This is a fairly cheap gem, and it's going to give us another +1 gem as well once it's level 5. It is slow going, though. And then we have Inspiration as well, which is just very comfortable. In terms of the ring, we're still using the same ring. We need to recraft this. The amulet is still the same. We need to recraft this as well. But I was focusing on the weapons, and they made me pretty broke, so we're going to work on it in the future once we can get the crafted materials as well as the fractured bases. We did switch to Disemboweling, though, which is nice crit multi and crit chance for a anoint. And I've also been searching for one of those secret double anointed new necks that are made available through Blight, so keep an eye out for those as well. We're also still using Taming. I want to maybe use Prismatic essences on this to help with gearing in terms of the resistances. Otherwise, I'm going to put some elemental damage on it to deal with the modifier that is maxed out here, 40% increased elemental damage. Yeah, let's add that up to 48, I believe it goes, which is very, very nice. We're still using Admiral's Arrogance. I want to get a Frenzy Charge implicit on this, but until then, this will simply do. We have Steel Skin that is connected to Automation for automatic Steel Skin. And then we have Assassin's Mark being connected to Mark on Hit support for automated marking against tougher units. We're still using the regular belt. I want to get a different implicit here, but all in due time. And then we also have the Relic Ash Impatience boot that still need to be defined because I want to get more Chaos Rest out of here. But we're still using the Frost Blink, the faster attacks, the Whirling Blades, as well as the Life Tap on top to make sure that we never have to worry about being able to move even if our mana is being drained, because certain rares do like to do that. That's our gear. Now let us talk a little about the passive tree. As you can see, most of it is a little bit the same. The right side has changed a little bit since we now have hits can't be evaded. We could completely spec out of all of the accuracy nodes, which is very, very nice. We did pick up a little bit more spell suppression as well until we have access to the spell suppression from tattoos or spell suppression on the actual chest piece. But yeah, the spell suppression of tattoos is like 200 C plus last I checked, which is insane. It's more than a divine per spell suppress. It's wild. On top of that, though, we are picking up the crit notes. We're still going to level up and pick up more basic jewel notes. We're also picking up some wonderful masteries for more evasion, more life. The inverse is so good. More life, as you can see. Once we actually recraft the chest piece and we have a life modifier here, we need to make sure that we drop this life mastery, which gives us another point back. We also switched, as you can see, away from the daggers, and we switched to Claws of the Hawk, which is very, very good. Other than that, the big thing, of course, that we have made all those points available. We have been able to go for a cluster. As you can see, I've got a basic jewel socket here. I've got my Ancestral Vision here. This is like 50% of the ailment avoidance, which we then combine with the Wheel of Thick Skin for another 20, and then 30 from the shield for 100% ailment avoidance. On top of that, we get some martial prowess, which is nice attack damage and speed. We have Feed the Fury, which gives us life leech and attack speed while leeching and damage while leeching. And then, of course, we have our mana, fuel the fight, attack speed, attack damage, leeches mana, increased damage while leeching. If we can get fuel the fight on top of martial prowess, that would be really, really sick, but it is what it is. I'm also using a little bit of intelligence on here to try to compensate for the intelligence requirement of this build, but it is what it is. We still need to make sure that we actually recraft either our chest or our shield with like a high intellect, just to make sure that we can wield everything we want to wield without having to worry too much. So it's going to be probably a little bit of down leveling as well of the frostblink and such, but we'll see how it turns out, because we do have some high requirements, like Skitterbots is 98, so we do have to pretty much be above 100, so we have to keep that in mind. Other than that, it is what it is. Big changes, like I said, the cluster, the ailment immunity, the gear, things are starting to look good. I'm just going to try and find a fun farming strat that I can just enjoy, turn my mind off, and just fill my currency tap with a respectable amount of currency. Because crafting expensive things has left me dry, which is weird because it's very humid in the summer right here, so I don't feel very dry, but it is what it is. Thank you all so much for watching. Keep an eye out on the next update, or check out the stream if you want to see me mess around with the build live, and I will catch you guys next time. So thank you so much, and I am out.